Welcome to Two Crazy Teachers on this
4th of May. May the 4th be with you.
It is. What day is it?
NTI day number 31.
31.
31. I can't remember because I'm kind of over it.
But
Because it is Monday, right? Yes,
it is Monday.
31.
But why are we looking like this?
It's May the 4th be with you. It's Star Wars Day. You know,
It is
May
Star
the
Wars
4th
Day.
be with you.
So
Long
I
time
am,
ago in a galaxy far, far away, there were two crazy teachers, also
So
known
I
as
am-
Princess Leia and
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca. Yeah, he makes this noise. I can't make it, but it's like. I can't make it. I sound like a turkey.
So I'm Chewbacca. Well, I was Chewbacca.
I'm Princess Leia. Harper said, "Who is he?" Thanks for not doing a great job.
So
Anyway, our word of the day. This is a child-sized
You
wig.
kind of look like George Washington with dark hair. That's who I thought you were at first. like a Puritan.
Well, I kind of do. I
thought-
definitely don't look like Princess Leia.
When you walked in the backyard, I thought, "Who's that dude?" 'Cause, yeah, it's child.
Shocking.
Okay, anyway, go ahead.
So the word of the day is collimate. Do you know what collimate means?
Call him in.
No.
Collimate.
No, collimate. That's a good guess, but collimate is a verb, and it means to make parallel.
Okay.
So it normally is referring to rays of light. So it's a very scientific word.
Sorry, my eyes are still adjusting from this death trap.
You really look like a funny Chewbacca. I should have worn the Chewbacca mask. You should have worn this.
Princess Leia.
Yeah. L-E-A-I. Okay, so it also can mean to adjust the line of sight of, like in telescopes, surveyors, levels, etc. Okay, so here's the sentence. The sentence reads, "The scientist used a triplet lens to collimate the laser beam." I thought that was appropriate since it's Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with you.
I don't think I've
Collimate.
actually paid. I don't know the storyline of Star Wars. I mean,
You want me to tell
Luke
you about
has
it?
a father,
Okay,
and Darth
So-
Vader might be him.
let me tell you just a little bit about Star Wars.
Are you giving me a spoiler?
No, absolutely not. I don't believe in spoilers. I'm an English teacher. You don't do that. Movies, books, you don't give spoilers. Okay, so
You will sign the Declaration of Independence, or else. We're over here from Great Britain.
no. Obi-Wan, help us, Obi-Wan. You're our only hope. That's the line of Star Wars. He's never seen a Star Wars movie.
Why is your hair bun so tight?
Okay, so Star Wars actually. You know George Lucas? He
He wrote it. Then he stopped writing. Give me a job.
That's how Mr. Hood feels about Star Wars. Anyway.
Come, Princess Leia, we'll save you from the dreadful
Help us,
NTI.
Obi-Wan, you're our only hope. Hey, you know what? It might take that. Okay, so the first movie was released in like 1977.
Oh, it was old.
Well, what happened is, and they released it as Star Wars, and I did not know this. They released it as Star Wars, like the name of the movie was Star Wars. And then, look, we're all like really, like, white now.
Right.
Yeah, let's fix that. Let's get your forehead there. There you go. Now
right.
we're regular. Okay. So it was, and they changed the name. So then, a few years later, they changed the name, and the very first one was, I wrote this on the back just to make sure because I get them confused sometimes, was A New Hope, episode 4. So you think, well, what happened to episode 1, 2, and 3? Well,
Nobody
they came later.
knows.
So episode 4 was in 77. My mom and dad, I think, saw it in the theaters, which I think is pretty cool. And it was called New Hope. Episode 5 was The Empire Strikes Back. It was in 80, so both these before I was born. And then 83, when I was 2, Return of the Jedi. Then years and years passed, okay? And then in between 1999 and 2005, they went back and they produced episode 1, 2, and 3. And that's the story of Darth Vader as a little boy and how he became Vader. Because we know, us Star Wars fans know that you don't know that through episode 4, 5, and 6. You don't know. So then, they weren't finished yet. And from 2015 to 2019, they produced episodes 7, 8, and 9. And then there were 2 like companion episodes or companion movies too, or something like that. Like I don't know what you call them. They're parallel movies, like Solo, and that was the the story of Han Solo when he was younger, and it's really cool. They did a great job. I
So
didn't
what
really
I'm
care
thinking-
for episodes 1, 2, and 3, but I love the original and I love the newest ones. They're
You know
so
what's
good.
really sad to me?
So good. Yep.
It's like the people that went and saw it in the 70s, but they were older, and then the 80s, and they were older. They never got to see the other ones.
Well, I will tell you, yes, they did. Well, I mean, if they were super old, maybe not.
If they
but
were super old, they
but-
died, and they didn't get to see it.
I will tell you this. This was kind of cool. So I read this story where there was a man who had this kind of a Debbie Downer story, but it has kind of happy.
Ooh, I
ending.
love Debbie Downers.
I know. It's just for you, Mr. Hood. So he had cancer. He was terminally ill, and
This is
they.
not my kind of Debbie Downer story.
Sorry. But he was old enough to have seen the original movies in the theater and was a huge fan. And so part of his last wishes was that he would get to see The Rise of Skywalker, which is the very last one. And the movie company let him see it early so that he could see it before he passed away. And I think he passed away like 3 days later.
So is it over?
Yeah.
There's no more?
Well, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but the way that they ended it, I still think they could possibly, because I still think so. But it's just so good. You have to watch. But you have to watch them. I would watch them in the way that they were actually produced and released. It's so good. It's been called the most influential and successful franchises in motion picture history. Like, Star Wars fans are like crazy maniacs. Now, I'm a super Star Wars fan, but I'm not crazy.
Do you like Star Trek?
No.
Is that
Well, I
anything-
mean, Star Trek's
is it
okay.
similar?
No. No. I wouldn't. No, I'm a bigger Harry Potter fan. I feel kind of bad wearing this because I should be dressed
You
as
kind of look like
Hermione.
an older Harry Potter.
I could be McGonagall. I could put a witch's hat on. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
So national days.
I don't
There
have
is
any.
a ton.
Okay.
It's National Bird Day.
I love birds.
I can't believe you didn't know this.
I
It's
didn't look them up
National
today.
Weather Observers Day, which I've been doing
Okay.
a lot of, trying to make sure the weather's going to be nice or bad or sad or happy or whatever. It's National Anti-Bullying Day.
Don't be mean to me, Mr. Hood. Don't bully.
It's National Great Lakes Awareness Day to be mindful of the lakes and also be mindful of some of the issues that they face.
I read that I think on Lake Michigan they found an old shipwreck and they're trying to figure out what ship it was from. I read that. Today.
It's International Firefighters Day.
Oh, thank you, firefighters.
It's International Respect for Chickens Day.
Landry has that every day. That's why he won't eat chicken.
It's National Kids Fitness Day.
Oh, I thought that was yesterday.
It's National Meeting Planners Day. People that like to plan and planning for meetings.
Would be me.
It's National Orange Juice Day.
Oh, I love orange juice.
It's National Petite and Be Proud Day.
Petite and be proud.
Petite, like Petite.
Yeah, like tiny.
Yeah,
Be tiny and be proud of it.
be proud.
I'm not tiny, so.
Miss Hamilton. Okay, World Give Day. Today's World Give, where you
Aw.
should give to charities and
You
things
should
like
give
that.
some money to me just because
Yeah.
I'm your friend.
No. Okay, it's also, so those are all the days. And can I talk about this day in history?
Yeah.
Or do you talk about this?
I have only two things. Can I tell my one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
And then this my major thing.
Yeah.
So today, in 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first woman to be elected Prime Minister of UK. And that's kind of like their president, not quite, but it's the head of their governing body. And that person works alongside with the Queen.
Now, she's not that person anymore, is she?
No,
No, it's Boris Johnson, isn't it?
I don't know that.
I think that's.
I have no idea.
And he had coronavirus, and he was really sick, but he's well now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, but I think I might be wrong about this.
This
Okay.
wig makes my forehead
In
look even wrinklier.
1904, the U.S. takes over the construction of the Panama Canal.
Ooh.
French engineers had begun. I just think the Panama Canal is fascinating, and also what I think is interesting is, so all my friends, like when I was in high school and college, were all going to
Panama. That was like the
and
place
I
to
thought
go.
they were going to Central America, Panama, like to the canal. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's really far away. Their parents let them go there, and that took me a
Panama
long.
City, Florida.
Yeah,
That's where they were going.
yeah.
Okay.
Not
That's not
Central
as
America. I was
yeah,
like,
that's not
man,
nearly as exciting.
They're like, we're going to Panama, and I'm like, oh, cool. You're gonna go see the Panama Canal, and they're
They're
like, no.
Florida.
So anyway, French engineers had begun digging a waterway between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans in 1881,
So
but they
cool.
had to abandon the project after 22,000 lives had been lost to accidents and disease, primarily yellow fever and malaria.
From mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes, yeah. And so, basically, here's what this is. There is this isthmus It's like
nice
a land
use of
bridge.
That yes, nice terminology.
And
Yep.
instead of going all the way
around it,
south of South America, you can cut through Central America, and it saves a lot of time and it saves a lot of energy. And so this has been a big deal. And the French had built it, and the United States took over to do that. It's an artificial waterway. It connects the Pacific and the Atlantic, and it does a lot of maritime trade. It does a lot of military trade, or like military. The military use it to go across there. The maximum boat length that can go through there is 1,200 feet.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm. It cost around $375 million to build. It was the single most expensive construction project in U.S. history to that time, and it takes about 8 to 12 hours to get through. Because what they do is they have locks, they fill up, and then they lower the water, or they raise up the water depending on how you're going, and so you have to. I believe they have to raise you up.
Probably.
And then
That's
then you go back there, and it's
Who
a
owns
mess.
that, or does someone own it?
Well, so the French had owned it, and the United States owned it. The French had owned it initially.
Owned it. Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll get to that here in a second.
Okay.
But it takes about 8 to 10 hours to get through. It costs now about $450,000 per vessel, carrying 4,500 containers. So that's what it costs to go through there.
They have to pay?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So the United States signed a treaty and sold gave up its rights to actual country of Panama.
When?
I don't know. I should know that, but I don't know that. I want to say it wasn't too long ago. Like it was like in the 80s or 70s or something like that.
That's right. That wasn't too long ago. That's when I was born. How many boats do you think go through there? Am I stealing your thunder? I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm just
they had
an inquisitive mind. I have an
had
inquisitive mind.
expanded it, I believe, in 2016. This may be all lies, and I'm just faking it until I make it. But I do remember someone saying, which in that first year or the first couple years it had been open, 20,000 boats had gone through it.
And they all cost that much?
It depends on how much.
I can't believe that.
It depends on how much.
How much what?
How much you're carrying and how big your boat is. So a vessel that's carrying 4,500 containers, if it's a tiny little boat, you're not gonna cost that much.
I don't know. Did you fact check that?
Anyway, the United States pays rent for it every year. They pay $250,000, and they had paid a $10 million lease for the land of it at first.
So weird.
Okay? You can swim in the lakes of the Panama Canal, but you cannot swim near the locks or the ports.
Makes sense.
And they also built a railway there, and the railway caused 12,000 people to die because of accidents and disease and stuff like that.
I'm gonna look a picture of this up.
So that's all I got. But anyway, I think it's really neat. I watched a documentary not too long ago about they had to expand it, they had to make it bigger, and basically what they have to do is they have to drill. They have to drill like a fake river through it.
Yeah.
And
that's
crazy. That's the most narrow area to be able to do it.
Wow. How wide was it? Did you say? How long did they have to drill through it? Like landmass?
It says 82. Is it
kilometers?
Kilometers, yeah, kilometers. I always want to say kilometers. Kilometers.
Are you American?
I can't remember how long that is.
Well, let's see. All I know is that a 5K is 3.1 miles.
Let's just Google it.
So 5 kilometers is 3 miles. So how many kilometers is that?
I think it's 20. Let's just Google it. Right here, live. It's not really live.
I want to do the math in my head.
Okay, we'll do it. It's
Where's
82 kilometers. Okay, I'm just going to tell you the answer.
Okay.
It's 50 miles long.
Oh, okay. Wow. So that's like from here almost to Lexington.
Yeah.
A little less
and they
than
had
that.
to dig that out.
That's crazy. That's
See,
cool.
when you don't know something, you just pull out your phone and find the answer.
But you make sure
That's
that
why
you
don't
have
have to go to
reliable
school.
sources. That's an English standard.
That came
Okay.
off Wikipedia.
Oh,
I'm
do
just
not
kidding.
ever use Wikipedia. Okay,
I'm
so
just kidding.
this is something that I learned today. So you learn stuff all the time when you look at random things. And I learned that in 1869,
I wasn't alive.
me neither. That's a long time ago. The very first, on this day, the very first technically professional baseball game was ever played. Ever. So when you say professional, what that means is that all the players on that team were salaried players, so they were paid to play. Now, baseball had existed before then, but it was just like a pickup game or a club sport, so not all the players on the team were paid. And there were some who had been, like through the ages, some got paid and some didn't. But do you know that the very first team that was ever considered a fully professional, all-paid team was in Cincinnati, Ohio? I did not realize that. I should
didn't
know
know that
that.
either.
I feel bad that I don't know that because that's where my dad is from. But they were called the Cincinnati Red Stockings. And on this day, May 4th, they fielded their first known openly professional baseball team. So back then, some of the teams didn't want to like tell people that they had paid players, but they were like, hey, their person in charge was like, hey, we paid for this and I'm proud of it. Back then, they didn't put baseball as one word either. It's like the word nerd that I am. Base and ball were separate.
Nerd.
They were separate. They played club team, who was also from Cincinnati, and it was called Great Westerns of Cincinnati, and the Cincinnati Red Stockings, named after the socks that they wore, they beat them 45-9. That's a huge score.
Losers!
A huge score. Now the next week they played, and that was a club team, so not all of them were paid. But the next week they played, and they played a team in Indiana, and they beat them 86-8. So these are like football scores.
Loser!
This team was really good.
Oh, just kidding.
They had a 57-0 record that year. 57-0. Okay. And here's what they did. In order for them to be able to pay their players, they used to play on a cricket stadium, in a cricket arena. That's how they got started, and they enclosed it. So because they enclosed it, what could they do?
They could charge.
They could charge admission, exactly. And so because they charged admission, they could then use that money to pay their players, and that's how it got started. So I thought that was really super cool. And it's called, the place where they played was called Union Grounds. Yeah. So I thought that was super cool.
Listen, you've learned about
Star Wars.
Trek,
Star Wars.
Star Wars. You've learned about the Panama Canal. You've learned about the
Cincinnati
Red Stockings.
And how professional baseball.
You've learned all sorts of stuff. So, tune in tomorrow, and you learn some more cool stuff.
Bye, kiddos.
Bye.